Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour was a kart game released in 2000, developed by Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Interactive. As the name suggests, it was mainly based around the Walt Disney World Resort. We got 13 tracks in this whole game, ranging everywhere from Big Thunder Mountain, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, to things like Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon, and even just going around Hollywood Studios, or MGM Studios. Was it MGM Studios? As far as I can tell, this is Disney's first kart racing game, and they haven't had a whole lot. After this one, they had a GBA port, Mickey's Speedway USA, All-Star Racers, some Cars games, a Toy Story Racer, and the upcoming Disney Speedstorm, which I playtested for a little bit, and honestly, I have to say, I'm really excited. It has some good stuff coming up. Let's just hope they don't ruin it. Whether you're someone who's been to the Disney parks before, or just someone who's interested in kart racing games, I'm so excited to tell you about this. When playing through it this time, yes, I actually played through it. I didn't grab gameplay footage for it. I did for the GBA version, but man, I fought, I trained, I went through a whole journey. I can't wait for you to see it. I realized a couple of things. One, I was terrible at kart racers as a kid. Two, this is way better of a game than I remembered it being. Okay, look, I'm not comparing this to like Mario Kart 8 or Crash Bandicoot or anything like that. I'm just comparing this as an out-of-nowhere Disney Parks kart racing game. Just take a look, see what I'm talking about. Can you possibly imagine the excitement that was over my face whenever my screen faded from black onto the Disneyland train station? It's attached to Disney World for some reason, but still, we go under the bridge and look at this beautiful recreation of Main Street. I joked about immersion in the last video, but for PlayStation, I mean, look, we're here. Look at this. The castle looks gorgeous in the background. That guy looks terrifying. We have a horse that isn't moving. She looks pretty cool. We have Brer Bear hanging out? No, that's not Brer Bear. We make our way to the castle and we're welcomed by Jiminy Cricket.
Welcome to Walt Disney World.
Jiminy Cricket's the narrator and the tour guide for this adventure, and he's going to be the one that's hanging out and talking to you most of the time. That's Eddie Carroll as Jiminy Cricket. He took over the role for Jiminy Cricket in 1973 after the death of the original voice actor Cliff Edwards in '71, and honestly, I think he does a fantastic job.
Started this morning when our friends Chip and Dale were out exploring Walt Disney World, and, well, they let their curiosity get the better of them.
He has that really nice, warm, friendly, just makes you feel good kind of voice that Jiminy Cricket was always known for. Well, here you guys asking, well, what's the story? Why are you racing around Walt Disney World Resort? Chip and Dale were bored one day and decided to cause as much trouble as they possibly can, and they came across this magical device that apparently runs all of the fireworks shows in the resort. It's the magic machine. It does all the magic stuff. Why are you questioning it? I see you. Stop it. Stop it.
Those acorns gummed up the Gearsotronics and Springle pneumatics so badly that it just stopped working altogether.
So it completely exploded, and now we have to go win every single race and figure out who's holding the pieces hostage and only giving them to who wins this arbitrary race. But that's okay. It's time to pick our racer. This was a bit of a tough decision for me because my go-to whenever I was a child was Chip. I love Indiana Jones, I love Chip and Dale, but my love for Haunted Mansion. I mean, look at him. I mean, clearly he's the guy that means business. You don't want to mess with him. I think I'm going to go with the Duck because I personally feel like he connects with my soul on a level I can't describe. So I feel like that will help us through the rest of this journey. Now, speaking of this journey, it officially begins on Big Thunder Mountain. Hang on to them hats and glasses, kids, because this here's the wildest ride with acorns. I need to take a second to talk about the difficulty. It truly is a challenge. This isn't a child's game you can pick up and hold down the go forward button and win. No, no, no. You need to know what you're doing. These drifts are essential. These shortcuts are essential. These acorns are the bane of my existence. I can't possibly describe the frustration of being in first place, lap 3 out of 3, ready to do it, and then like, I've never broken a controller before. That's probably not true. But I had the urge. Now, aside from inducing extreme rage, this does also give me the happy feelings that going to the Disneyland or the Walt Disney World Resort will give me. Look at these sights and sounds. Now, I've talked about Big Thunder Mountain and the other ones and how it's basically just dirt and rock and cacti, and there's not much you can do with it. But unfortunately, I did forget to mention the only bit of beautiful color in the whole ride, which is the Rainbow Caverns. The Rainbow Caverns are something that is left over from the previous incarnation of a mine train ride in Frontierland, Nature's Wonderland. The mine train attraction would take you around a western town, an old desert area, and, most importantly for the situation, into the Rainbow Caverns that were filled with these beautiful pools at the bottom that were so colorful, and the drops would go and illuminate it. It was fantastic. But then...
Well, that's funny. The map says they're supposed to be right here, but somebody put a big thundering mountain on top of them.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, I'm sure there are people, not a lot of people, who remember the old mine train ride and really do miss it, but Big Thunder Mountain is truly a classic, and I feel like this racetrack did the best it possibly could to bring it to life. It's got the dinosaur at the end splashdown, it's got the goat, it's got pretty much everything you can need. I mentioned shortcuts earlier, and they really are super important. There's not really an easy way to know where they are, and you just kind of have to guess, and that also increases the difficulty of the game. With all the talk of the difficulty, I will admit, this first track was a bit of a breeze. Look at that. Boom. Victory. That's a happy duck. That's a happy duck. He's a dead duck, but that's a happy duck.
Nice going, friend. You've won your first race and earned the first piece of the Walt Disney World Magic Machine.
Now, if I had 15 minutes straight to guess all the tracks in this game, I don't think I would have landed on the entire water park of Blizzard Beach. I have never been able to go to Blizzard Beach, unfortunately. I went to Typhoon Lagoon back in 2011, but I really haven't gone to the water parks in the resort in a long time. If I'm being truly honest, I kind of forget they exist. But they are really cool concept ones. Blizzard Beach has a very interesting story. It used to be a ski resort. That's why there's snow all over the place, and skis, and what looks to be giant slopes. That's actually the icon of this park, is a ski slope that turns into a slide. Disaster struck the ski resort, and everything melted, turning it into a water park. The locals figured, hey, we already got slopes, we already got water, let's just repurpose it. And as unrealistic as that can be, that's very Disney, very magic, and I love that they went through that much effort, not for an individual attraction, but just for the whole thing. Now, I mentioned the rage in the last level, and even though it's hard to be upset whenever there's happy Christmas music playing, and there's pine trees, and there's snow, and you're a happy little dead duck running around and having a good time with your friends, this made me consider not doing this video. Look at this. Look at the pain that I went through. Oh my gosh. I finally did it. Finally.
Why, you've beaten the slippery slopes of Blizzard Beach. Not bad.
Let's hop on the bus and take a ride over to Animal Kingdom. I could really use some celebration of wildlife and nature right about now. Instead of some sort of generic safari or a ride through the whole park, we actually get Dinosaur. Dinosaur is basically an Indiana Jones clone that is modeled after the movie Dinosaur. It wasn't originally created to be based off that movie, but you know old Mikey Eyes can't pass up an opportunity for some synergy and some money, so he transformed it, added Carnotaur, added Aladar, and then boom, you got Dinosaur. I've ridden this recently, and it is still very fun. Is it as good as Indiana Jones Adventure? Absolutely not. But when you are able to see some stuff, you see some really cool things. The EMV still feels like the Indy Jeeps, and when you're in Animal Kingdom, you're not going to be disappointed. Go ahead and give it a shot. Honestly, you're going to have a really great time. It has this 90s vibe to it, and the cast and the wardrobe definitely solidify that 90s feel. But it's a cute story about a scientist who puts you in a time-traveling vehicle because he wants to literally steal a dinosaur and put it in your Jeep with you so you can bring it back. Things go awry, you accidentally get transported 5 minutes away from the inevitable death and doom of every single thing you're looking at, and you have to race the meteor shower out of there, go through the time portal, and go through the gift shop where you can see this very realistic looking iguanodon walking through the gift shop. Oh, I love this ride. Now, do I love this track? Kinda. You see dinosaurs, and they actually have specific dinosaurs from the ride. That long-necked brontosaurus is in there. Of course, the Carnotaur is in there. I had to try this one too many times for me to be proud of, but you know what? I did it. Beat this level. I beat prehistoric times. I am a scientist. Moving on. Now this is a first, because the next track is actually an attraction I have never been on. When I went to Walt Disney World this most recent trip, I talked to a cast member who advised me to rope drop Frozen Ever After because that was gonna fill up pretty quickly. I asked him, hey, should I stop by Test Track? And he said, you know, it's gonna be fine, don't worry about it too much. Turns out that line gets pretty big pretty quick. I have seen POV ride-throughs of this, and I also have seen the new upgraded Tron-like version of it, which is pretty cool. Test Track, in its original form, was an attraction celebrating and showcasing the testing of vehicles. You would have those crash dummies in there, you'd see cars crashing into random things. Eventually, you would go through these crash doors and whip around this freeway at 65 miles an hour. This is one of the few types of mini games that they have in this game. I'm happy it's not just racing. This isn't the most inventive thing in the world, but I do like the idea of going around this facility and collecting these coins, because it does focus on exploration. When you're dealing with anything Disney, detail and theming are extremely important, and when you're zooming by on a track, it's a little hard to pay attention. But this game is really clever at forcing you to slow down every now and again and appreciate the hard work they put into creating this experience for you. Not really much bad to say here, other than the fact that some of the coins can be a little difficult, and maneuvering is not the easiest thing in the world. I had a good time with this one. It was quick. Moving on. Now this next attraction I'm really excited to talk about because I rode this for the very first time 2 years ago, and... yeah, I was impressed. This ride is awesome. This is Disney's Rockin' Roller Coaster, starring, I'm sure, someone else very different very soon. This is a launch coaster attraction, and one of the first I've ever seen. I remember them talking about how quickly it launches you and how they actually use NASA technology to do so. And every time Disney uses NASA technology, they do love to brag about it because, hey, that's a fun sentence to say. The story of this ride is pretty simple. You got backstage passes to this rock group's big performance, and you need to get there quick. We are apparently very bad at being on time, so we gotta floor it through LA. You can see the Hollywood sign, the Beverly Hills Hotel, palm trees, the big donut. It's a really simple and fun attraction that makes good use of blacklight and LEDs to create an experience that feels like you are flying by. It is a really impressive attraction with a really fun track, and I enjoyed it greatly. Now, do you know how much fun I was having? Does that translate into this track? Actually, yeah! You know, in the original video I talk about what makes an attraction minigame a good attraction minigame, and one of the things is just simulating the feeling of being on the ride. How closer could you get with this? Yeah, the coaster tracks are a little wide and weird looking, but that's what they are. You are on a coaster track, you are seeing the same sights that are in the attraction, and it's simulating the feeling of speed. It's great. The music isn't the same, but it's not bad. Take a listen. It's got that attitude. It's got the fun. Yep, those acorns still piss me off, but I love this track. This is a great one. This is a really great one. Let's move on.
Nobody rocks on quite like you, Speedy. You've earned another piece of the magic machine.
Gonna get my machine part, move on to the next ride. Welcome aboard the world-famous Jungle Cruise racing kart attraction. Take a look at your sanity and wave goodbye because you will never see it again. This is a simple attraction that does a really great job of getting all the main set pieces in front of you. You have the rhino scene, you got the hippos, it's a great time. Now the track is extremely long because we are riding on the Nile River, and as everybody knows, that does go on for Niles and Niles and Niles. Yes, I'm sorry about the puns, whenever it comes to them, I am always armed and legged. I love that one of the first things you see is this python. You know how I can tell it's a python and not a boa? No feathers. The rock work on this level is extremely impressive. It adds to the ambiance, but I'm pretty sure most people just take it for granted. The only animal I really can't seem to find a lot of are butterflies, but that's okay. They're not really what they used to be. We are now nearing the most dangerous part of our journey, the return to civilization, and the entrance into the next stage.
Well, you were a first-place jungle cruiser today. Good going, champ. Here's your piece
Well, if
of
anybody's
Walt
still
Disney
watching
World
this
magic
video, let's
machine.
move on to the next one. Now, so far, Haunted Mansion levels in the previous games have been pretty impressive. When I tell you this is the most impressive, official, virtual Disney recreation of one of their rides, I mean it. This track has everything. It has the whole ride. It has from the entrance to the gates, you got the queue, you go into the foyer, you got the stretching room, and then it just goes through the track. Literally, every room is here and accounted for. The corridor of doors looks fantastic. Madame Leota's room looks fantastic. Yes, you don't go through the top of the ballroom right away, you actually drive through it, and just because they wanted to let you know they know what they're talking about, then you go up there. The shortcuts in this one are a little insane. Luckily, my brain decided to give me a little message from my childhood, and I remembered if I bump into this wall here, it completely puts me through the wall and shortcuts me to the attic. Look at the minimap, I'm skipping quite a lot by doing this. This attic is scary. Look at this. You got the I Do pop-up ghosts that are just screaming. The bride is just inching closer to you. This is so Haunted Mansion. It's so good. I love it. I love it. I'm pretty sure this is my favorite track, at least so far. I love this. Did I mention I love this? Hey, you feeling a little sweaty? You got that Florida mugginess sticking to your skin? Let's cool off. Let's go ahead and go to Typhoon Lagoon, Walt Disney World's other water park, which also has a fun story. This lagoon was a victim of a typhoon, obviously, and instead of it being a complete depressing disaster, they made the best of it and turned it into a water park. They got this big old boat that's crashed onto this rock that looks really pretty. Look at that dinosaur. Don't you love him? I do. Same thing here. Get the coins, win the game, move on. Now, obviously, each attraction has its own level of difficulty whenever it comes to how to adapt it. Things like Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion have a lot of details, so in order to get them right and get that feel, you have to be pretty precise on how you do them in what order. But sometimes it is really easy to recreate the feeling of an attraction if it's a simple attraction. Take the Tomorrowland Speedway. It's just Autopia. You go on a little racetrack, and there's not much scenery, but the scenery you do look at is really satisfying. You got the Contemporary Resort Hotel, and you got the castle. You can see the Walt Disney World icons around here, and it's really effective. The Mickey balloon is also such a nice retro touch. Something they do for this attraction that they really didn't have to, and greatly gained some respect from me, is putting attraction posters from other things in Tomorrowland. You can see there is attraction for the Astro Orbiter, just Tomorrowland in general, and you can also see one for the People Mover. Oh, even in virtual form, it feels great to feel like I am in a Tomorrowland with a working People Mover. Ah, I miss it. Disneyland, please. Please. It's fitting we can see it in the background because Space Mountain is actually our next attraction, and I have a very similar opinion to this one as I do Rock and Roller Coaster. So as I said in the previous video, Space Mountain is not the most intricately detailed ride in the world. Most of the theming is in the queue. Again, you got the blue tunnels, you got the loading dock, you got the launch, and then boom, you're in space. And what did this game choose to do? It put the queue blue levels as part of the track, and then it got the loading area leading into the liftoff. Boom! Shoots you off into space, you're on a track, you're looking at stars, you're looking at planets, you're looking at comets. This is Space Mountain. And you hear that music? No, that's not the Walt Disney World Space Mountain music. No, that's not the current Disneyland Space Mountain music. This is the original Space Mountain music that was first put in whenever they decided to put a timed track to the attraction in Disneyland. And this is by famed guitarist Dick Dale. He's known as the king of the surf guitar, and this track is proof. I love it. It feels simultaneously surfy and spacey at the same time. Aside from how fun it is to feel like I'm riding Space Mountain, I don't really have much else to say about this. I'm getting better with the racing. I have just recently figured out that if I keep the acorns swirling around me, they protect from other acorns. And I feel like this is a monumental discovery to make. So that just makes me far less stressed.
I've never seen anyone race through Space Mountain so fast. Wait.
People ask me my favorite Disneyland attraction, and I cannot give them one answer. I have to give them two, because equally, I adore Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. It was my favorite as a kid, it is my favorite film franchise of all time, and I still make sure it is either the first or the last or both attraction that I experience whenever I go to a park that has it. How does it do as a racetrack? Well, they make some odd choices, but in general, I really do love this. Whenever I was a kid, it's kind of funny to admit, but I used to just tap the go button as slow as I possibly could, so I can pretend like I was riding the ride at a normal speed and seeing these things. Yeah, I was a nerd. All of the stuff is here, which is why I was able to do that, but I did have to memorize what routes actually took me on the ride, and didn't do any immersion-breaking thing like flying over the Wicked Wench, or going through any of these other gold dust patterns. These gold dust things are pretty cool. I like the sound it makes whenever you go over it. It is definitely a touch of magic, but again, it's a little immersion breaking, but that shouldn't be an issue for anybody other than me, I'm sure. Going through the town has always been the most accurate part of these games, and this is no different. You have the Carlos and the Well scene, and hey, for those who missed it, you got the original auction scene here. Check it out. There it is. Moving on. Now, for those who have memorized the layout of both Pirates of the Caribbean attractions, things are kind of all over the place here, but they are all here. You got Skeleton Beach, the shipwreck skeleton in the cove, you got the gold pile skeleton, you have the Wicked Wench scene with the battle in the fort, and you got the entirety of the town scene. And if you go up this little ramp here, you get to see one of the finale bits. This is a really fun map to explore. More so than race in it. I just love wandering around. Luckily, one of the game modes in the future force us to do so we're gonna be back here a little later. This one took me a couple of times because it is a little difficult, but I got there, I'm proud of myself. Wow, we're really flying through these. What's next?
Yo ho ho! In first place you go! Congratulations, Speedy!
Hey, I got an idea. Let's go to Hollywood Studios, or MGM Studios, or whatever. I love this area. I love these little ambient coin levels. I'm sure that they were annoying for people who just wanted to do the races, but I'm really enjoying just going through early 2000s Hollywood studio in square form. I love seeing the logo for the old studio backlot tour. It's so cool that you can see the peak of the guitar from Rock and Roller Coaster. You got Mickey and Minnie's Runaway, the great movie ride, the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Listen to Hooray for Hollywood, collect some coins, and that's it.
Well, by golly, you did it!
What?
Another beautiful fireworks show at Walt Disney World.
We beat the game?
And it's all because of you.
Already?
Chip and Dale surely thank you,
But-
and so do I.
But Splash Mountain, we didn't even touch that. That's the whole reason I went to Blockbuster. I want to. Where's Splash Mountain? Everybody looks so happy. I'm happy. This is wonderful. This is beautiful. Where's Splash Mountain?
Well, Albie, you did it. You earned your big surprise. And guess what? It's, yours truly. Not bad, huh?
Hey, check it out. I can play as Jiminy Cricket. Isn't that awesome? Where's Splash Mountain, though? But... What? Why? 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 In order for me to play Splash Mountain, I need to go through and beat every single one of these attractions again, other than the coin ones. I need to get a first place flag in all of them. So, sure. Let's do it. Why not?
Imagination, imagination, a dream can be a dream come true. Which is the part from me and you?
Fantastic. I did it. I went through the whole game again, and I feel good about myself. I actually feel pretty damn good about myself. This is a really fun game, and I'm good at it. And I'm happy that I had to do it all again. I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it, and I earned my reward. I earned it. It's here. Zippity doodah, here we go. Now, yes, the first thing I obviously did whenever I got this game was figure out how to get to Splash Mountain as quick as possible. I was not good at video games back then, so I did not do it the intended way. I just did the time trials. I raced by myself, I took as slow as I could, I looked at all of the animatronics and the scenery, and I just simulated Splash Mountain at home. So what you're watching right now is legitimately my very first time racing in this track. I've waited my whole life for this. I've been training for this without even knowing it. I have been slowly going through this track, memorizing every bit of it. Let's go. Splashdown, zippity-doo-dah. What an attraction. Man, you know, this whole game was a journey. It was difficult, and it made me do that New Game Plus, and I'm just happy I can walk away and say I 100%ed this game. What? But what else? What else do you need from me? What else do you want? What else can you have? Okay, so you see that little trophy under those other two symbols? That is because each attraction has 8 trophies hidden throughout the game. I, of course, was a little upset by this whenever I first found out that I had more I needed to do, but this is the best part of the game for me. I'm gonna repeat that. This is the best part of the game for me. Because what it does is it forces you to slow down and take a look at the track. You need to hunt for these things. Yes, you are being timed, and I kind of wish that you weren't, but it does encourage you to check out every single nook and cranny, find these hidden paths and shortcuts that I never would have found without doing this. And now you're prepared for whenever you want to race your buddies, all the people who are lining up to play Walt Disney Quest Magical Racing Tour with you. It's fun. It is like training. You get to learn where the stuff is, and this is riding the ride. You're at Disney World right now. Chill out. Look for trophies. Have a good time. Listen to that music. This is a great experience. And this is a great way to simulate that magic if you're missing it and you're at home and you have nothing but a PlayStation 1 and Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour. To summarize, Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour had the goal of creating a racing kart game that brings the experience of the Walt Disney World Resort to your home. Did it do that? Yes! Absolutely. It shows you images that you cannot see anywhere else other than a Disney Parks product. And that is special. There's not a whole lot of it. And there's not a whole lot of love and appreciation for these little things. There's not so many people in this world that know how many pirates are supposed to be standing in the well scene, or know the exact layout of the corridor of doors. It is phenomenal. Play it with your friends if they're nerdy as you. Tell them about this game if you want to be a cool educator on old stuff. And if you have this game, hey, crack it open, win a race from me. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. This is part 2 in my long Disney game series, and trust me when I say the next one is gonna be a big one. I hope you've enjoyed the first one, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and if you have, please like, please subscribe, and honestly, if you don't want to do either of those, just comment. I really need the feedback, I want to know what you think, and I will see you all a little later. Bye-bye!